How's it going, everybody? I'm here with William. He is a huge member of the Discord community for QuantVue. We're just going to go a little bit in depth about some of his experiences, and he can share a little bit about what it is that he loves about QuantVue, things like so on and so forth. So we're going to hear from him firsthand how he's really made a difference, or how Quant kind of impacted his trading. So, William, thanks for being here. I do appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. Just kind of tell us a little bit about your background first. I know you've been here for a good amount of time, and I just want to kind of see where you started to where now you are currently.
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me. I appreciate always talking about QuantVue, because I think there's been a fork in the road from when I started trading till now, and it really just came from manually trading and trying to figure out what cryptocurrency was and how it was, and 4-year boom and busts and things that we're living with right now. But back in 2017, back when Bitcoin was only $9,000, my goodness, how far away. And just writing my own indicators, learning from the ground up how to do that, trying to find the holy grail of indicators. Everyone is always out there trying to find the 100% win rate one, the one that's it's always gonna win. And thousands of dollars later, wasted or not, because there's a lot of lessons learned. I found that that's not attainable. So I had to shoot for something that was. I then tried my hand at Forex, and then 2023 came about, and I said, you know what, let me try this futures thing. I got a hold of some of that idea, and then I with QuantVue, their targeted ads and their information really hook me into thinking, let me give them at least a try, a go around. I hooked up with them with the Elite package just to give them a test trial. I found the indicators were very intuitive, things I would use. The grid system, especially QGrid, something really I gravitated towards, and I'm seeing some success with it. And again, I was full time, working on other jobs and other things. But when I sat down and did the work and did it with those indicators to help me get some confluence, it really worked out well. I did see, I sat back and watched ATS grow, from the 200 or 300 person mark to the 800 that it is now. And what I noticed was that, as I sat and watched it grow, even 3 months into having Elite, I said, you know what? There's got to be something there for me, because I can't run this all the time. I don't know if it's the same with you, but I couldn't be at the charts all the time. I had to be doing life. I had to work. And so what I really wanted to do was have something automated and a good strategy that I can rely on, right? So I kind of dove in head first and said, hey, is there a way to get from Elite to ATS? Mike, on direct message said, of course there is. We can absorb the cost right into it. It's prorated, and you can afford it at that point, because there's a big old discount. And I said, hey, sure, let's go, let's do that. It makes sense. One-time payment, move forward from there. I then started utilizing that to a degree, but I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't come to realize the power of automation until I denied myself the manual trading psychology that I went in there with at the beginning. I went in there thinking I could push buttons, right? I'm a scalper at heart. I run anything from 1 minute to 5 minute scalps. So I'm in literally for seconds sometimes. So something like that, the adrenaline, the pumping, things like that, isn't something that I saw, with QuantVue indicators, especially QZeus. QZeus is something I rely on. It's something that I trust, and I think that now that I've gone past thinking that I have to touch every trade and modify the way that it draws down and taking profit and all these things, if I just let the algorithm work, then I can step back and look at how it's working and look at other ways of capitalizing on it. And then diving into the forums and really taking a look at all the things that it has to offer once you're inside. It's just the community-based, ideas of looking at these indicators and strategies and really sinking my teeth into those, what I think was a big game changer. And so again, and I think there's a long-winded, story of myself, but basically, I started as a manual trader that was, give or take okay. to now somebody that can look at these automated trades and trust these automated trades, and then start to pass evals and start to see how it's going to go, even slowly but surely type of attitude, instead of trying to get it tomorrow and trying to get that Lambo tomorrow type of situation. It's kind of a slow grind to a winning strategy. So
Yeah, no, of course. And that was a really beautiful answer, I would say. Morris had, the similar background as I always share with people. I was already a manual trader prior. I hopped on pro, was there for a very short amount of time. Elite, ultimately got up to ATS. So, the automation aspect definitely does help a lot with kind of taking the burden off of specifically more so your manual, because you don't need to be there at the computer in order to implement your plan. And the community that you brought up also, I think alone is worth it, because even myself, I've gone through some of those forums and there's like strategies I've never used or I don't hear other people using, that when you see the data for like since 2021, has a profit factor of like 2.3, which is absolutely insane, right? Very minimal drawdown, very good, healthy equity curve. And that's what we're all looking for. It's just like those little base hits here and there every single day that ultimately scale up to, okay, now I have $1 million of funding. I just need 1 to 2% a month. That's 10, 20, $30,000, whatever the case may be. Who can't live off, right? But yeah, it's like a really, really great answer. You and I are very, very similar in that regard, I would say. What would you think is, or what do you believe is like your favorite aspect about QuantVue, specifically? Something that maybe expected coming in that you ultimately saying, wow, this was just an addition to what I was already expecting coming in.
Yeah, no, good question. So I've been a part of different communities all over the place, and sometimes people don't drink the Kool-Aid that they serve, right? And I think that is a big difference here. The QuantVue members from CEO down are utilizing the tools that they're pushing out. Why that is important to me is that whenever they want to improve on it, I know it's definitely for the community, but it's also a selfish need to want to be improving on their own accounts. I think that's a big deal, because if you're gonna talk the talk and then walk the walk, then I can follow that along the same lines. I mean, this ATS 2.0, I've been talking to people about, and really it's a game changer. Coming from a foundational change to where we're going to go, and I can see already the excitement building because of it being such a foundational shift to build other great tools off of. And I think that's really the key is they're not going to stop improving. They're not going to stop improving the transparency amongst the community. They're not going to stop improving the technology. And they're not going to stop until they're all profitable and everybody else is as profitable as they can be, type of thing. So I think that's really what draws me to them.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't really realize sometimes that, we're not just, again, like you said, pushing things that we don't use. At the end of the day, if you guys are successful, it makes us successful as well, and vice versa, because whenever we make changes, it's always shared with you guys. And, everybody kind of, I would say, takes advantage of the fruits of the labor of, Anthony and Mike and Travis and them. And then, of course, you have other members that are like mermaid strategies that they just find really, really good settings. I've
Absolutely
talked with people that they'll be at the charts, for 4 or 5 hours every single weekend, just messing with settings like to the 0.01 setting, right? Sensitivity. And that doesn't really make a huge difference. But when you get it in the right sweet spot, then you have a lot to work with. But, like I said, that's awesome. I mean, again, very, very similar. I also noticed the same thing. I do my best to practice the same exact thing. I mean, the manual strategy that, I share in the Discord is the exact manual strategy that I use. I haven't used anything else since it was made. And that alone, I think, shows people that we actually believe in the product that, we put out, that it actually works and all that, as long as you go through the right steps, right? But yeah, so like I said, kind of tell me a little bit, or actually, what is it that you would want to say to others watching, whether they're not a member whatsoever, or they're in pro or elite and thinking to upgrade to ATS in the future? What do you think is like the most important information you think that they should know on expectations or whatever it is coming into it, that would kind of give them a good starting point?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think starting at the beginning, right, where if a community is all that they say that they are, then they back it up by their community members and the people that are in it. And whenever I had questions, even before Elite and before ATS, even um, I was able to ask questions. I tell customers, all the time, if you don't feel like you've gotten enough information to make a decision, you need to go ahead and reach out to the right people, the right time, whatever you want, all the people, in the public chat. And again, we have a public chat that doesn't have a paywall. There are customer or clients out. I'm sorry, there are competitors out there that have paywalls to even talk to anybody in their community. We pride ourselves in the fact that we are an open book. We can tell you all the numbers that we have. We can tell you the strategies that are working, and then you can make the informed decision to then move forward. I think it's a no-brainer at that point. There's nothing to hide here. There's no gimmick. There's no sales tactic. I mean, we even specify, you're not going to get rich overnight with this, but there's consistency built into the system. And if you know anything about trading, you have to know that consistency has to be on top of everything else. Because if you don't have that, then you have nothing. You have something that's fly by night, shot in the dark, something you have to change constantly, modifications done. I mean, you might miss a week and everything changes on the strategy altogether. There might be news and everything on the strategy changes altogether. These strategies are built around these things, are built around future proofing. And I think that's really the key of it. But again, just to make sure I reiterate, there are so many channels in which you can ask. I mean, you can ask directly in the public chat. You can ask people directly in a DM. I mean, and we're talking from the top down. We're talking CEO, Travis, the partner as well. You can ask any one of us, and we're here to advocate and talk about it from our point of view. And if you still don't like it, then that's fine. As long as you've done your due diligence, and that's really where it comes to on any decision in life is do your due diligence, make it something clear in your life, and then make the decision to go one way or another. That's the way I see it.
Right. Yeah. No, perfect. I mean, again, I couldn't have said it any other way. I think the one thing that you definitely touched on was, take the information, do your due diligence, and then have the opportunity to make that informed decision. Because at the end of the day, and I always tell people this, trading is an individual sport, right? Just because you make money on your account doesn't mean I automatically make money on my account, right? Different decisions that you and I make will drastically change the outcome, right? But overall, if you're consistent when it comes to like the best practices, being, forward test driven, making sure that you're not over risking or over leveraging, not going for home runs, not trying to pass a challenge in a single day or 3 days or a week, right? And just kind of take like your scaling up should be similar to an equity curve, right? Just going from the bottom left of the screen to the top right. It shouldn't be just straight up all the time because that's not how trading works.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, you touched on a really, really great point. Lots of points actually. And obviously, I can tell that the community is really, really happy to have you. I know that a lot of people, especially other members, are also. So I appreciate you for your time. Thank you so much for sharing the information. Hopefully, someone can watch this video and then make their own informed decision on whether or not they should move forward. Right. But again, I appreciate you, William. Thank you so much. And everybody, also, like I said, make sure that you go, through the Discord, take all the information that's attributed to you, go to the webinar calls, go do everything. Make sure that you have all the information. There's no rush when it comes to making a decision. I'm not going to force you to make a decision. At the end of the day, just make sure that you know what it is that you specifically want or need out of it. Okay. But yeah, that's going to be it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you guys in the Discord community. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. See ya.